In the morning sun where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to our live Q&A. We do this every Monday 12 to 2 p.m. Every Monday 12 p.m. for 45 minutes. And this is a space where you can come and ask all your gardening questions, any kind of problems you've been having, anything that you're curious about, anything that you want to learn more about, all of that, everything to do with gardening, everything to do with plants. All you need to do is comment your question, and I'm going to ask it to Chris, and Chris is going to answer it. Super simple, super easy. And yeah, so if you want to start commenting
Is the camera on
now,
because my head's not on the screen.
That's all right, we'll fix it up. Okay.
no, it's fine.
Okay.
It's all right, yeah. It's because this is just scroll down.
Yeah.
So it's all good. Also, just before we get started, I want to quickly tell you about the Growers Direct Flash Sale we're doing this Friday, which is very exciting. It's going to be our 5th sale. We did one last week, which was all about creepers and ground covers and about standards and weepers and all sorts of exciting plants. And this week we have even more exciting categories.
Yes, what we're doing is we're going to do Japanese plants for sort of Japanese style gardens and getting that sort of Japanese look in your pots and things like that. So a really fabulous range of Japanese style plants, and Japanese style goes really good with modern gardens and classic gardens. It just seems to fit in anywhere, and it's a beautiful, simple style to work with. And we're going to give you access to really exciting Japanese plants really, really cheaply. Then we're going to have an autumn color extravaganza. Now, often when people do something on autumn color, they do a whole lot of great big trees that most people couldn't fit in their gardens. So what we're going to do is we're going to do autumn color bushes. We're going to do small autumn color trees like little weeping maples and things like that, that the average guy can fit into his garden. And then we're going to do the very best of the bigger trees. And plus there'll be some medium trees in there. So really that's why it's autumn color for everybody, because whether you've only got a balcony and you want a splash of autumn colour on it, we'll have a nice small autumn colour plant for you. Or you've got a small garden and you just want one or two little or medium-sized trees, or you've got a big expanse, maybe a big avenue or something like that, we'll fix you up with some really big autumn colour plants. And then last of all, I really like the idea of making horticulture and gardens and that accessible to everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to do cottage gardens. Now you go down to your local nursery or department store and your cottage plants 12, 14, 15, 18, 20, 22 bucks, something like that. And to buy 50 or 60 and make a great garden is difficult. We're going to have cottage plants from $4.99, beautiful cottage plants from $4.99. And I don't reckon we'll have anything much over $11 or $12. So basically this is cottage plants for everyone. So anybody can do a beautiful little cottage garden and really enjoy having flowers all year round, having that lovely sort of mishmash of colour and textures and things like that. We're making it available to everybody by offering a range of cottage plants at prices almost anybody could afford. Even on a pension, you should be able to make a nice little cottage garden.
Fantastic. So, yep, that's happening Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. live on whatever platform you are on now. Now, the questions are rolling in, so we're going to get right into it. With Liv's question, my fiddle leaf is looking very sad and I can't control mealy bugs. Is there a treatment for them that actually works?
I would get some neem, budding sell a bit of neem oil, get some neem oil and just rub neem oil all over with dilute it a little bit and then rub it over with a cloth. And I reckon that should get rid of them.
Amazing. Mikey's question is up next with, I have a Double Delight rose bush which is currently potted. The flowers seem to be dying faster and aren't as colourful as they once were. Would this be the pot size that's too small?
I think some lime, a repot, and a good feed of and the lime. If you're putting lime on when you repot it, hold off on the Osmocote for a month. So some dolomite lime, a repot, hold off with the potting on that for a month, and I think a bigger pot with more potting mix, some lime and some Osmocote, and the Osmocote applied later, I reckon you should get it back to its former glory. When they're hungry and miserable, you do get smaller flowers. And unfortunately, the biggest and best flowers you'll get will be in the garden. So if you're able to dig it into a nice hot sunny spot in the garden, feed it well, you'll get enormous fragrant flowers.
Fantastic. All right, next one is, can you please suggest some non-invasive root tropical plants? As also a second part to the question, but I'll just ask that for the time being.
Right, okay, so I imagine that we've got somebody in a cooler climate who's wanting some. And
they're in Sydney.
In Sydney, okay, so a little bit cooler. So you could look at Aralia. Aralia give you a lovely tropical look. You could look at your Tropicanas. We have a yellow Tropicana and a red Tropicana, and there's even a sort of a deep red Tropicana. So there's 3 different Tropicanas, and they don't have overly extensive, they're very easy to dig up, they don't have very overly extensive root systems. So Aralia is a great one, loves the shade. Your Tropicanas love the hot sun. Tiger grass is another one, just a very simple root system, lovely big luscious tropical looking leaves. When you get a nice big bushy one, you expect a tiger to leap out of it any minute, so sort of jungly and that. So tiger grass, very simple little root system, really not a problem in the garden, and a beautiful tropical look. And so let's think some coloured leaves. Say if you're in the shade, you could do an Acuba japonica gold dust, and that has a great big leaf with beautiful golden spots on it, and it'll really brighten up that dark corner of your garden and do really well in a sort of a Sydney type climate out of the hot afternoon sun. So that's a couple for you at least. But if you stick with the sort of the grassier types of plants, they have more simple root system and they don't have the great big sort of tree style roots.
Perfect. And just the second part of that is asking, are you only based in Melbourne? I really want to use your services, but of course they're in Sydney. Yeah,
look, unfortunately we do a little bit of business in Sydney, and I look forward to one day I'm going to put a couple of my bands up in Sydney and do Sydney. But right now, we're really only good if there's some little rarity and we post it up to you. And we've got people, when you look at our website, we've got 15,000 items there, and there's items that you may not be able to buy in Sydney, and we'll post those up. And then the other people who buy from us in Sydney and it's successful is people that are doing a whole big garden, and then what you find is prices in Melbourne are much, much cheaper than Sydney prices, and the freight unfortunately is a bit expensive. But if you're buying a whole big garden lot, we can, I think it's about $450 to freight to door to a Sydney suburb. And people sometimes buy whole big lots of trees and save quite a lot of money. Like a thing like a mop top, say a 6-foot mop top in Melbourne, might only be $100 or $89 to $129. Whereas in Sydney that could be $300 or $400. So if you need a whole lot of something like that, it's worth freighting it up. But just 1 or 2 big plants, the freight tends to overwhelm any savings. So it's really, you're looking at small rarities or you're looking at big garden lots, but one day we'll do Sydney, and then we'll make it so that people can get just a few plants freighted cheaply.
Exactly. Sylvia says that they purchased a falling snow weeping tree. The leaves all got brown spots and fell off. The tree is bare. Do I need to spray it with something?
I wonder when they fell off. If they just fell off recently, it's not too bad. I probably wouldn't spray it with anything. Really, you're going to have to hold your breath and wait till springtime Or if you live locally and you bought in a branch, I could sort of pull it apart and see how much life's left in that branch. I'd love to have a look at it, really. So if you bought in a little branch, I could have a look. Otherwise, you could just leave it till springtime. In fact, I don't know. I think what would be good if you don't live too far away, bring in a branch of it, and I'll have a look at it and I'll tell you what to do, because there's 3 or 4 different tacks you could take with that. And probably the one that I'm most likely to say, if it's still alive and kicking, I'd like you to dig it up when the winter comes. Dig a much bigger hole, mix in some potty mix, make a little bit of a mound, plant it up high in a mound of nice loose soil, whack a bit of fertilizer on it, and let's get it booming away in the springtime. But I'd love to have a look at it. If you were popping past and you showed me a little branch, that would allow me to really pinpoint exactly what the right actions are.
Yeah, Sylvia, so if you are close by to Campbellfield, where we're located, please come in store. If not, could a photo help at all, a DM?
No, I need to pull a branch apart.
Okay. Well, hopefully you are in the area / living in Victoria. Okay. Next one is from Kiana. My escalonias are not thriving at the moment. I planted them in January. How can I help them?
Cultivate around the base, put a bit of soil water there, put some Osmocote there, and give them a real good deep soak.
Amazing. Next one is, do you have veggies?
No, we're not. Well, look, we have a few veggies here, but it would be one of our weakest points in the nursery. We have more herbs than vegetables, and we have the odd vegetable here. We do sort of key things like tomatoes in the tomato season, but vegetables, as the nursery grows and gets bigger and stronger, we will do a range of veggies, but we're not strong in that area yet.
And what kind of vegetables would you be planting right now?
Okay, so now spinach. You can still do lettuces, and actually, say you're planting broccoli or cabbages or sprouts or something. It's time for all that sort of stuff right now. You might even just put lettuces in between, because they come on really quickly, and you can cut them off before the other ones really grow. And I think onions could go in now too. So onions and all of your cabbages and broccoli and cauliflowers and all that sort of thing, great to put in now.
Fantastic. And next one from Kiana. What flower plants are good to plant now?
Flowers. Really, pretty much like in a cottage sense, now's a great time to be putting in almost anything. You know, your catmints, your daisies, all of those things. Great to put in now, because they get nicely established now. And then when spring comes, they're ready to boom and give you masses of flowers. So your cottage colour would be really the area to focus on right at the moment, and that'll convert to your spring colour.
Which is perfect. If you weren't here at the start, Kiana, we were just chatting about the Growers Direct flash sale we're doing on Friday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And cottage plants are going to be part of that sale. We're going to have a whole category on them. So really, really good idea to hold out till Friday and purchase those flower plants then, because you're going to get them for very, very cheap. Yeah. All right, next question is from Simon. What would you recommend as a feature tree in the front yard that would suit a Hampton-style home? Hoping for an evergreen that is low maintenance and doesn't grow too big.
Okay, so something elegant and really beautiful would be your K Paris Magnolia. We've actually got those on our current flash sale, and we've got an unbelievable deal. I think they're only, we'd have to look it up, they're sort of somewhere between 50 and 70 bucks.
The K Paris?
Yeah, they're about 1.5 meters tall, and that's it's a compact, beautiful foliage magnolia with an amazing big fragrant flower that flowers all through the warm months of the year. Much better flower than either your little gem or your teddy bear. Really beautiful flowers. Some landscapers won't use any other sort of small magnolia. They're $69.99 online at the moment, and they're a beautiful magnolia and perfect for your Hamptons garden.
Yes, exactly. And that sale's only going to last until Friday morning.
Could I say one other thing? We've got some really good paniculata hydrangeas in our flash sale, and there's one called Mammoth. I think it's called Mammoth. You could just double check that name, but it's called Mammoth. At any rate, if you were to go to the Hamptons, one of the real popular things in the Hamptons is what they call a tree hydrangea. And what they do is they use a strong growing paniculata hydrangea, kind of like they use a strong growing paniculata hydrangea, kind of like um, as a standard, and they grow it up on a trunk, and then they let it bush out on top. And we've never really had a good strong paniculata in Australia, but one of our suppliers has imported one and put them on the market, and you've got your mammoth paniculata. Now it's very deciduous, but that would be an amazing tree to have in your Hamptons garden, even though it is deciduous. Your tree hydrangea or paniculata hydrangea is an amazing botanical wonder. Like you've got this amazing tree with amazing big white summer flowers turning pink in the autumn, lovely bit of autumn colour, really, really wonderful thing. And we've finally got one that's suitable, and it's called Mammoth. So your tree mammoth hydrangea.
I can't find it on our website, but it also says it refers to the Annabelle variety as well. So is it also the Annabelle one?
Mammoth would leave it for dead as a tree hydrangea. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So-
I can't see Mammoth on our website at the moment, but
I think we've got Mammoth at the moment, and they're sort of $30 to $50, something, $35 to $50, something like that. And that would be my first choice in a tree for a Hamptons, but it is deciduous. So I went for the K Paris because that gentleman asked for evergreen.
all right. So I did just pop the link in the comments there.
And Mammoth could be so new that they haven't put it up on the web, and I'll speak to the person who does the web and get it done straight afterwards.
Yeah, sounds good. But yeah, if you want to get that K Paris deal, again, it's only available until Friday morning. And it's a 13-inch pot for only $70, normally $160. So very, very good deal.
And
that
they're
you,
beautiful big bushy plants with fabulous foliage on them. They're really wonderful.
yeah, very beautiful. Just let me know if the link works. If not, I can also just direct you where to go. We'll move on to the next question though in the meantime. Hey Chris, we are planning to start our garden project. Where we want to have a garden bed, the existing lawn and ground is rock solid. Do you recommend we remove soil or stick to hardy natives?
No, I think look, what it is the soil that you've got there is actually wonderful, and it's millions of years old. It just needs a bit of work. And so I've been helping people all weekend. I think I've done 20 garden designs over the weekend. I've been helping, and nearly all of them had rock hard soil. It's a common problem. So this is the I give people an action plan with my with a lot of my garden designs where people don't really know quite what to do. And so my action plan for you would be to start off and treat the area with soil wetter. We have a good soil wetter here, but you can get good soil wetters in a Bunnings. So you treat it with soil wetter, and generally what I do is I look at the application rate on the instructions, and I normally double it, and I'd sprinkle that over the whole area. A bit of extra soil wetter doesn't hurt, and you really want plenty of it. Then I'd go into Bunnings and I'd get myself a soak-it hose, and I'd get one of those green collapsible ones, and I would plug that onto my hose, and I'd start doing half an hour here, half an hour here, half an hour here, moving it round and round and round and round on that whole area and do it slowly over a few days. So what it is, just the water coming in regularly and slowly, and I would get it so that it was wet down 1 shovel depth. And then if it's all weedy and grassy, I would then, it might take you 5 or 6 days to get it moist and deeply moist, and the soil wet is going to help get that water in, and you want it moist down a shovel deep. Now then what you might do is you might look at it, and it's starting to, the weeds are all turning green and lush and looking good because you've been watering it for a few days. Then you would spray with Roundup. You don't want to spray with Roundup when you've got dead brown weeds and grass, because they're actually immune to Roundup when they're brown and just sitting there. And so what will happen is that you'll spray them, and then a couple of weeks later it'll rain and they'll all come back to life again. But if you get them back to life and then spray them, you eliminate it. And you want to eliminate your perennial weeds before you dig over, because when you dig over some of your perennial weeds and chop them in half or quarters, you've got 4 big healthy weeds that you have to fight. So what it is, I want to kill off my perennial weeds. So you water, and you're watering for 2 purposes. One is to green up any weeds, and 2 is to get the ground moist. And you find the ground becomes 4 or 5 times softer once it's moist. So you get that ground moist, you kill the weeds. Now after you spray, now when you buy your Roundup, I tend to buy concentrate. When you go down to Bunnings, you'll find somebody's made great big bottles that are dirt cheap, and unfortunately you'll find that they won't work very well, if they work at all. Whereas if you buy concentrate and you keep it in a dark cupboard, it'll last you for the next 20 years, a tiny bit of it, a little bit expensive, but a tiny little bit lasts you for the next 20 years. You only use a tiny bit when you spray, and you use it as per the instructions. It works best as you use it as per the instructions. So you use as per the instructions, then you leave it for 48, so you want nice green grassy, glossy sort of weeds, and then you spray them, you leave them for 48 hours, and then you dig and turn and smash, sort of like how the kind of European migrants do. You sort of see them out in the bed, you go dig, turn, smash, up and down, and they go evenly over the whole garden. They go down one shovelful deep, and once you've moistened it, you'll be able to do that. And then once you've done that, you'll get some good quality potting mix or some good quality garden soil, and really check out that garden soil, because there's some pretty awful garden soils around that really aren't worth digging in. But some good quality organic soil mix or some good quality potting mix, and you add a couple inches of that on, you dig, turn, smash the whole thing again. So two times over, dig, turn, smash. And often I recommend to people is an Indian hoe that you can, like a big Indian digging hoe that you can sometimes buy at the Indian grocers. They're kind of better than a shovel for doing deep digging. But anyway, so dig, turn, smash, and then you do that twice. Then get a steel rake and rake it over, and you find the steel rake breaks up all the big pieces into little pieces real good. And then you're ready to plant. And you do your planting, and then after that, I use a draw hoe, and I'll hoe between the plants every 2 weeks and get rid of any little weeds that come up, because the annual weeds, once you've killed off your perennial weeds, your annual weeds are quite weak and pathetic till they take hold. So you just, while they're still weak and pathetic, you just go through with a draw hoe, you hoe them off, let them fall over, and let the wind and the sun take care of them. Don't pick them up or clean them up or do anything with them.
Incredible. All right, on to the next one from Jay. Is this the right time to dig a struggling persimmon plant and replant after adding good, nice soil?
Yes and no. If the persimmon plant's only been in for 2 or 3 months and it's struggling, dig it up and replant it right now with some good soil. But if it's been in for a year or two, I would wait till June, and it will have, by the middle of June, it will have dropped its leaves completely. It'll be completely bare, and then I would dig a beautiful big hole. I would use lots and lots of good quality potting mix. I'd mix that potting mix 50-50 with your soil, finish it off in a nice mound, and sit your persimmon up high in the mound with lots and lots of loose soil down underneath it. And then as it starts to move away in springtime, or say before it moves away, a good heavy dose of Osmocote, and you should be away with it.
Fantastic. All right, Stu says, my lily-pilly hedge is being destroyed by little lime green bugs. Help, in all caps.
Okay, so we sell a product here called Conguard, and a couple of sprays of Conguard a year will get rid of those bugs, and then water and plenty of water and plenty of fertilizer, it will grow out of it. And but Conguard is environmentally pretty rough. It's pretty rugged stuff. It's a non-selective killer. So what your other choice is that if it ain't a great hedge, or if you can afford to get rid of it, we've got lots of hedges that those beetles don't eat. And we've got lily-pilly hedges. We've got 4 or 5 different lily-pilly hedges that we sell here. Weeping lily-pilly, sublime lily-pilly, fire screen lily-pilly, Acmena Smith-eye lily-pilly are all ones that beetle doesn't touch. Now what I've done and we've got another one, a very good one called green screen, beautiful one. So you've got green screen, and you've got all these varieties of the lily-pilly that the beetle don't eat. So if you're not really prepared to change over your hedge, you're going to have to spray with something like Conguard, and you only have to spray 3 or 4 times a year. And I would recommend probably a spray when things warm up, and that's when the beetle gets going. Probably beginning of November. There's probably going to be another spray February, and maybe a spray about now, and you'll stay on top of it. Or you think, well, I don't want to be spraying for years and years and years. Rip it out and replace it with one of the ones that don't get eaten. Now, if on the other hand you want a lily-pilly hedge and you're starting from fresh, get some advice from my staff here or me, and get one of the ones that they don't eat. And we've got, I think, I haven't really added up, we've got at least 7 lily-pilly choices here where the beetle don't eat them, and I don't recommend any of the beetle is such a savage hedge predator that I don't ever recommend the edible sorts to anybody. I only working with the ones in terms, and basically I'm really just keeping the ones that the beetles eat here for either repairing hedges, or where people particularly want that variety, or architects have specified it. But really, in terms of advising people, I'm only the beetle, such a savage beast. I only recommend ones that the beetles don't eat.
Good luck, Stu. Hopefully, you can easily sort out that problem. Also, just Sylvia, just saying that they missed the start and what's happening on Friday. A quick recap: we are doing the 5th version of our Growers Direct flash sale. And the flash sale is different every single week. We have different bargains, different plants that are on sale. And this week we are doing Japanese style plants, very cheap cottage style plants, and autumn color plants. That includes trees and bushes and smaller plants like that for those with smaller gardens or just want a smaller autumn color plant. So we are going live on every platform like we are right now. So we will be going live on Instagram, so you can just join us like you've done here, 12 p.m. this Friday, and we will tell you all about the plant deals. We'll be going through each plant, telling you a little bit about it, like what the applications are, what are its strengths, maybe what styles it suits best in terms of gardens. And yeah, we've been doing that for the past couple of weeks now. We had one on Saturday. That was really exciting. We had a lot of really great plant deals there, which you can check out on our website if you just go to our homepage and you go to Chris's blog and you go to the most recent article, Growers Direct Flash Sale 4.0, and you can find all those deals there, and they will be gone Friday morning to make way for the new sale. So yeah, go check it out. There might be something you want there, and join us on Friday as well. And that is obviously goes to everyone who also just joined and wasn't here at the start. All right, we're going to go on to the next question, which is, I have a large elm tree that is having a rough time.
Right, I imagine that your elm tree has got the old elm beetle. And your Conguard that I mentioned before will knock off the elm beetle, and it's only really a couple of sprays a year. But the main problem you've got is, if it's a very large elm tree, is spraying the whole tree. That's your main problem, is spraying the whole tree, because you've got to get the spray right up there, and you might have to get some sort of professional in to spray it for you, because it's unlikely that a home garden is going to have the equipment for a large tree. And the thing is that the elm beetle, I've noticed that the elm beetle is not a great travelling beetle. So if you've got a great big elm next door to your elm, or there's elms all around there, and you're going to spray them, and you're getting someone in to spray, you might as well spray the whole lot. And with elm beetle, it might be a bit late in the year to spray it now, because it's almost autumn. The elm beetles are probably crawling down and burying themselves under the tree ready to suck the roots for the winter. I would imagine that what you could do is you could give your elm tree a deep soak, like give it plenty of water. What it is that by being attacked by the elm beetle, your elm tree has been exhausted a little bit. So what you need to do is build it up. So I'd be looking at watering it. I'd be looking at fertilizing the elm tree, and they would love lime, and they would love Osmocode or Dynamic Lifter. A good feed right around the drip line of, right from the trunk right out to just past where the water drips on the edge of the tree. If you were to fertilize that whole area there, give it a good deep soak, even put some soil water there, get some water down there, get some fertilizer into it, and even another fertilizer in September, October as it comes into leaf. And then your elm beetle is going to emerge. You're going to see the first tiny holes. I reckon you're going to see them late October or early November, and at that point you could spray your tree. And then you might spray the tree again a bit after Christmas, and then you might spray it again in end of February. So 2 or 3 sprays. Now, if your tree is isolated, you might find that you get rid of them for a couple of years. Just keep watching for those holes, and then once you see the holes again, you have to spray them again. And something like Conguard is going to do the job. Or there are, if you were buying a big canister of spray, you might go to somebody like E. Muir and Sons and get a more professional, bigger pack than the Conguard. And that way you can look after it for years. I think, what is it called? It's called Confidant is what E. Muir sell, and that comes in a big bottle. Works out a lot cheaper per litre, but more per the bottle. But you're going to need to spray the whole tree. So you're going to need some sort of professional with the ability, depending on the height of the, work out the height of the tree, and then get someone who can actually spray that whole tree. So I just think with a home spray outfit, you're probably going to be able to get up 3 or 4 meters, but that's about it. Yeah.
Good luck. Hopefully you can get that sorted. Next one is we have just bought a house and a backyard. Oh, sorry, we've just bought a house and the backyard has amazing citrus trees. We want to put in a pool. Can we pot the citrus or just buy new after?
It really depends how big they are. Like, say if you had a citrus that was, say, 2 meters tall and beautiful and bushy, if you cut that back a bit and you dug it up with a good root ball, you could easily move it and pot it. And the thing is that one of the things is that to dig a pool, you might be getting a backhoe or an excavator in, and that makes it very easy to dig up citrus. Now, if you're digging up your citrus, you'd want to dig them up from somewhere between the end of May and the beginning of September. And you dig them up with a nice big root ball, and you can either plant them back in the garden or put them into a big pot. But say say you're digging up a 2 meter citrus, you'd want to have a ball that was at least 90 centimeters across. So it's a big ball that you're looking for. So it's a big pot that you're going to put them into, or it's a big bit of spot in the garden you're going to do. So, and then once you get into really big citrus, and the bigger the citrus, the harder you've got to chop it back. And the perfect time to do it is probably during August. Is the perfect time to do it. And I guess the other perfect time to do it is when you're digging up the pool, because you're going to have some machinery in there that can handle it. Yeah.
True. Yeah, good tip. All right, next
But don't forget to cut them back a bit, because what you've got to do is when you dig them up, even though you might dig them up with a big root ball, you're actually severing most of their roots. And having severed most of their roots, you've got to take a bit of the load of foliage off them, and certainly any fruit and a bit of the load of foliage.
Some very good points there. Next one is from Kylie. My front yard is shaded half the day. Will grevilleas, lemon baby, and showtime do okay or not thrive? They're in South Australia.
I reckon if you've got half a day's sun and you work up the ground nicely, a little bit of fertiliser, maybe a bit of native Osmocote, I reckon you'll be fine.
Perfect. Next one is my cucumber leaves are covered with little brown bugs. What do you recommend for that?
Little brown bugs. I would try spraying them with neem oil. That way you're not making your cucumbers toxic, like it's a non-toxic spray. And I believe you can buy neem oil in Bunnings.
Amazing. From Pip, we have, what sort of turf would you recommend for a hot climate?
Buffalo grass is fabulous in the heat. It's a little bit thirsty, but really, really tough and really fast growing. And the main way people seem to go wrong with buffalo is that they worry about having to cut it all the time. So they cut it really hard and they bruise it and damage it. I found, I've got a buffalo lawn, and I found that if I cut it every week when it's hot, but don't cut it short, just cut it high every week, it looks fabulous and gets really green and lush and beautiful.
Amazing. I see a comment from SJVD saying, sorry, 800 centimeters, but I can't see the first half of your question. I've tried to scroll up, but I can't see it. So if you could just type it in again and just comment it again, please, because I just can't see what the rest of the question is. I'll move on to another one, but I will circle back to you once you have commented that. Wendy goes, what would be a lovely evergreen hedge for a small corner of a backyard in New South Wales?
Evergreen hedge for a small corner of a backyard.
If you ask someone at the front desk there, they should be able to.
My first thought is your viburnum densifens. Your viburnum densifens, beautiful little foliage, very, very dense. You can cut it quite narrow. a little bit slow growing, but you can get it up 2.5 meters. Anywhere you can keep it anywhere between 1 and say 2.5 meters in height, and it's a very hardy, fast-growing hedge. It'll withstand shade. It'll withstand growing under trees. It's very, very hardy and versatile. And so dense fence viburnum.
Fantastic. All right, next one is I've got some plants that I want to repot. Is now a good time to do it? I'm in Canberra.
I think now's a great time because you've got another 6 or 8 weeks of warmth, and you'll get a good lot of root growth, and then they'll move away well in springtime. So I do it right away, and give them a good feed while you do it. A bit of Osmocote, you'll be in business.
Fantastic. I just got the other part of that question that I couldn't see before. Can you plant anything inside a retaining wall, side of the house, 800 centimeters?
Right, okay. We often do that sort of thing. We get a lot of people coming in with new houses, retaining wall along the back or the side, and they're wanting to cover up the fence behind it. And Boston ivy can allow you to plant something else. So you can do Boston ivy, or you can do Ficus pumila, and that can cover the fences behind the retaining wall. And then you can do something like a silver dichondra or a convolvulus to hang over the front of the wall. So you can have Boston ivy going up like that, and convolvulus or silver dichondra coming down like that. So or you can put a little border hedge, something like a nandina, one of the nandinas, a lemon lime, or a moonbay nandina, and it can make a low hedge in that narrow thing with the Boston ivy or the Ficus pumila going up behind it. But mostly what people are going for is they're going for having something that will hang and cover the retaining wall, and something that will grow up and cover the fence behind it.
Yeah, incredible. I'm just quickly putting a link in the comments here on TikTok, because a lot of the plants that Chris just mentioned for that situation is part of our current sale. So it'd be a really good time to buy right now, and it ends on Friday. So I just popped it in the comments there. Let me know if that works. Or if not, I can just also direct you as to how to get to that sale page. Next one might be a bit tricky for you, Chris. It's saying, when is a good time to plant in Michigan, or what temperature?
So Michigan, very, very cold winter, quite a hot summer. So I guess early as you can in spring for kind of like your herbaceous, your annuals and all things like that. So as soon as you've got some regular warmish nights, it's time to get out with all of that annual type of stuff. And then for your long-term evergreens and trees, magnolias, all that sort of thing, probably late summer is the time to be planting. So at the end of summer, you're going to get good root growth and get it nicely established for the spring. And that's sort of for your hardwoods, your deciduous trees, your birches, your maples, and your magnolias, your hollies, your boxes. So end of summer for that, and then as soon as you start getting some reasonable nights where, say, not dipping under 10 or 12 degrees, you want to get out there with your annuals and your perennials and all your herbaceous type stuff in the springtime.
Fantastic. All right, Spartan juniper. Would this be okay in a pot on a deck with lots of sun?
What's that?
Spartan juniper.
Spartan juniper. Yes, it would. It's a bit of a big grow. It's a bit sort of dry and sort of needly kind of look to it. What could be better is a smaragd, and we've actually got those on our Grow Direct sale. I think it's $69.99 at the moment for a nice big one's about 1.2 meters tall. But smaragd is softer and greener and in fact, Thuja baccata or smaragd might be better, but Spartan would be good. Spartan would be the choice, my first choice, if I was a bit irregular with watering or going to treat it a bit mean, because Spartan is really, really tough. But it's possibly not as nice as a Thuja baccata or a smaragd, a Thuja smaragd.
Amazing. Do I need to cut back my hydrangea that's in a pot?
With your hydrangea, with most of your macrophylla hydrangeas, when you cut them back, you only cut back half of the branches, because the branches that you've got there now, the branches that are on that hydrangea now are the ones that are going to produce flowers next year. Not the ones with the dead flower on them, but if you've just got a hydrangea with no dead flower, no flower on it, that branch is getting next year's flowers. Now, what I get customers in here and they say, Chris, bought a hydrangea 4 years ago and it's never flowered. What's wrong? Well, what's invariably wrong is that every year they look at, say, oh, it's a bit shaggy, and they just shear the whole thing off, and then a whole lot of beautiful new growth comes and it doesn't produce any flowers because they shear them off in autumn and it doesn't produce any new flowers. So what you've got to do, you might have a nice big hydrangea, might have 15 or 20 shoots on it, and you go through and you carefully prune off half of the shoots and leave the other half there, and that's your flowers for next year. And then let the other ones grow, and then next year you cut off the ones that flowered last year, and the new ones then become the 2-year-old ones, and that's, you sort of have to work on a cycle with them. And with the point of difference is that with the paniculata hydrangea, they flower on new wood, and so that regime doesn't have to be followed. You're going to shear them off, and they'll shoot back and flower next year. And what I've noticed is with a couple of growers, they've got flowering paniculatas coming on all the time because they're cutting them in stages and having them flower in stages. So that's a bit of a trick you can do too. So paniculata flowers on 1-year wood, and macrophylla, which is your more common hydrangea, the one with the big ball head on it, that flowers on 2nd-year wood.
Really good points there. We do have an article all about hydrangeas, so if you were just finding it like a bit confusing, or maybe you watch this and you forget what Chris said, I've just added the link of that article also in the comments there on TikTok, which is all about hydrangeas, and it also goes through that trimming method. So it's just in the comments there, and you can obviously check that out whenever you'd like. Next one is from Justin. So the mini pink crepe myrtle / endless summer crepe myrtle haven't bloomed. Will they in autumn?
What has to bloom?
They're mini pinky pink crepe myrtle and they're endless summer crepe myrtle.
Right. I think, look, if you've just got new ones in, I've noticed a few flowering late this year, but I really wouldn't hold my breath. I reckon wait for, and they do flower on new wood, so you can still prune them a little bit this autumn, but plenty of fertilizer early in the season, get them really going, and they'll flower beautifully next summer. And I'd say they're possibly a little bit young this year.
Yeah, fair. Next question is from Chrissy. I've got a shallow growing area. Can I plant Grovilla? They're in full sun, Tasmania.
It's a shallow growing area?
Shallow grow, I assume it's like a shallow bed.
Yeah.
Shallow growing area, full sun, Tasmania.
Yeah, okay, so I'm assuming what you mean is that shallow, very shallow soil. What you could do is may even get a couple of big rocks, put a few big rocks there, and rocks are a great way to build up the garden a little bit, and then add some potting mix or some soil, mix it with your other soil, and create a bit of depth in the soil, and then pop your Grovillas in there. So a couple of big rocks, which will look good in a native garden, build the soil up, mix that new soil with the old soil, and then plant them in that deeper soil that you've created with those couple of rocks.
Amazing. All right, this will likely be the last question for today. If we didn't get to your question this week, sorry. We do these lives every Monday though, 12 p.m. for about 45 minutes. So please do come to next week's live. Try and get in a little bit earlier because it is a first in, first served. I just read these comments chronologically. So whoever is in first is going to get their question asked and answered. But for today, the last one will be thoughts on Chinese elm. Our neighbors have them bouncing up everywhere and I'm worried about roots.
Okay, Chinese elm have a very aggressive root system. They're a beautiful tree. They're a beautiful tree to grow in a windy or a hot spot or a spot with poor soil. Really good hardy tree, very, very attractive. I love the bark, I love the foliage, but their roots are aggressive. And you might have to look at maybe putting a bit of a root barrier in, and they do sucker. You just have to, if you dig under a Chinese elm in the winter and you get a couple of pieces of root, you plant them and they'll grow. So, and a friend of mine used to make beautiful little bonsais by digging up bits of Chinese elm root and then popping them up in a pot and growing a lovely bushy little bonsai out of it. And he twists the roots and do various things with it. So they're they're amazing and wonderful trees that have very aggressive root systems, and I wouldn't want really one close to my septic tank or close to important plumbing or close to my house particularly. And I sometimes wonder about the wisdom of where you see them very intensively planted as a street tree. I can understand why people plant them because they are very, very hardy, but they're more the sort of thing that I tend to use, say, as a beautiful, luscious avenue on a country property. That's how I see them.
Yeah, exactly. So they're wonderful trees, but trees for the right kind of situation and application. Well, we are going to end here today. For any latecomers, I just want to mention again that the live that we're doing on Friday, it's not a live Q&A like we've done today. It's going to be a flash sale where we will be going through all our incredible plants that are going to be very much discounted, really, really good deals on them. And we're going to go through them and chat about what kind of applications, what locations, what strengths they have, all sorts of things. And the categories are Japanese style plants, cottage style plants, and autumn colors. So really, really good mix of stuff there. Make sure you come Friday, 12 p.m, whatever platform you are on now, just join our live. And if you can't make it, don't worry, we will have a page up on the website where you can still get those deals for a week afterwards. But yeah, we will leave it at there today, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday.
Okay, thank you for attending.
In the morning sun where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story, watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so